The following program was produced by a community producer.
Hello, and welcome to Malden Community Connections, sponsored by the Malden Community Coalition. I'm Shane Landrum, and I'm here tonight with Jen Truong of Malden Grows and Julie Mangan of the Malden Community Garden. So we're here tonight for a conversation about green growing things in Malden and how to get involved in growing your own green things if that's an interest of yours. Just to get started, what kinds of things does your group do, Jen, Malden Grows?
Sure. So Malden Grows is an all volunteer-based organization.
Okay.
It's mostly really a club that grew out of, a bunch of people who just wanted to share plant knowledge, plant cuttings. It was started by not me, but a person who I knew from my kid's school.
Okay.
And when she moved out of Malden, she asked me to help with it.
Okay.
And I think it kind of came at a cool time because it just started forming just before the pandemic. So it kind of provided a way for people to stay connected and have an activity.
Interesting.
During the pandemic.
So people were all, stuck at home, but they could at least go out in their garden and have the pleasure of seeing their neighbors over the fence, if nothing else.
Yes, and I think there was a lot of people who became plant parents during the pandemic because they wanted to have something to take care of and something to do.
Interesting. So what kinds of plants do people who are part of Malden Grows actually enjoy growing?
Really anything. I mean, so it's a Facebook group, but I find that during the winter things kind of quiet down, but we still try to take pictures of our indoor plants, and if people have cuttings, we try to figure out how to trade those so that, if you have a plant that's really thriving, that you can propagate it and give it to somebody else who might not have the resources to grow or buy something, then they can just try to grow from something that you had.
Okay.
And I think that's really great because I feel like a lot of people are intimidated by gardening or plants, but this is kind of a very low cost, commitment-free way to start.
So if people want to acquire a new house plant because they want a little bit of green in their life, that Malden Grows is a way they can get a house plant?
Yeah. So I have a little area set up in front of my house where I've set up a little cold frame, and people bring plant cuttings, but also outdoor plants that they may have split, because a lot of times plants get really big and they're healthier if you split them.
Okay.
So people will leave things and take things, and sometimes they won't have anything to leave, but they can just take.
Okay.
And then we also do that with seeds as well.
Seeds? What kinds of seeds? Like vegetables?
Yeah, vegetables. Sometimes people will put, other little fruit, like, you can grow strawberries from seeds too, but people will split their strawberries too.
Little strawberry plants? Oh, wonderful.
So you
could teach your kids about where strawberries come from?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've had people drop off those little Cape gooseberry seeds. They're little orange. How would you describe them? Husk cherries, some people call them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're really yummy. And I have actually from another neighbor gotten different raspberries and other berry shrubs. Fruits, vegetables, native plants, lots of cool things.
I've used Malden Grows when I'm thinning back my berry bushes, and because they spread everywhere all over the yard, and it's nice to have a way to get rid of them where they go to someone else rather than in yard waste, so that they don't take over my yard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think it's just a great way to connect with your neighbors and share things, and I think because sometimes people just don't know what grows here, if they maybe didn't come from this country, didn't grow up in this climate, they might feel kind of lost at what maybe might thrive here. And so it's a way for people to kind of share their knowledge too.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed when I go to Super 88 that there are vegetable seeds there, and it makes me really happy to see that people from all over the world recognize the seeds and are like, oh, I want to grow some summer squash or whatever. That's really cool to me, and I love the way that you've helped create a community in Malden to support people in interacting with the green world in whatever way. I think that's really great. And the seed box is also wonderful for when you don't have any more seeds, or you're like, oh, I've got this extra little space and I have no seeds. What should I plant in it? So that's really great.
Yeah, so I have some seeds at my house. One of my neighbors has some seeds at her house as well, just around the corner. And then just recently, we started a seed library at the Chinese Culture Connection, which is just down the street at 75 Pleasant.
At 75 Pleasant Street. Okay. Okay. So if people join the Malden Grows Facebook group, they can learn about where the seed libraries and the plant libraries are.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is your chance. Go to Facebook, look for the group Malden Grows, and send a join request, and Jen will see it and add you, and you can ask all of your questions about plants. Ever since I was a child, I've known that gardeners love to share knowledge. It's been something that there was a radio show in my hometown on Saturday mornings that was all just people calling in with their yard and garden questions. And I think the Facebook group works like that in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and people are really friendly. We talk about how to clean things up because there's a lot of invasive plants and weeds around the neighborhood
really?
too.
Okay.
So I think that's another way for people to learn about which plants are good plants, which plants are not so good plants, how to replace those bad plants with things that will help biodiversity in general.
Let's come back to talking about invasive plants and biodiversity, because I know that's a topic that's deep in both of your hearts. And so maybe we can come back around.
Sounds great.
And Julie, you help run the Malden Community Garden.
Yep, I'm the garden coordinator for the Malden Community Garden for, I think, 12 years now.
Well, congratulations on such a long-running project.
Thank you. I love it there.
Where is
Right.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, I
Where
love
is
that.
the Malden Community Garden for people who don't know?
So, I usually tell people use 67 Bryant Street as a GPS location. It's right along a bike path, and it runs between Faulkner Street and Franklin Street.
Okay.
So when I say 67 Bryant, it's a good place because there's always parking on that street.
I see.
And
Okay.
it's kind of like the hub. I guess one of our sheds are there. So, it's a good place to meet.
Okay, 67 Bryant Street is where people should go if they're driving and they want to come check out what you have going on there. And I walk by all the time, but tell us a little bit about what we would find if we walked down the bike path at 67 Bryant Street.
So what you would find is, 108 garden plots.
108. Wow.
We
Okay.
rent to Malden residents, and you pay $30 a season, and you get your plot and all access to water, and then you just bring your seeds, your plants, all your tools. We do expect our gardeners to volunteer for 4 hours a season, which is really not that much, and most people decide to do more because they really enjoy it. And along the bike path, you'd also see the farm, which is part of the community garden.
Oh.
That's an area where we grow food to give, and I do a lot of education classes, workshops, kids, teens, adults with special needs. I work with all different kinds of groups, and we get to learn together there. And then the food that we produce, we just give it away. We give it away during produce giveaways. We give it to Bread of Life sometimes. We give it to our volunteers. We also have a little free library, which is really sweet. And a couple different areas where people can gather and get together. It's really quite beautiful.
Wonderful, wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful.
Oh, and one thing, we have a native plant garden.
A native plant garden, okay.
run-
So that's plants that are native to New England?
That's correct.
And so they've evolved to live in this climate with the pollinators that live here, right?
Exactly.
And so they all know one another for tens of thousands of years, and they work to keep one another running. And
That's right. We have a very special group of people who volunteer to take care of that area. About I think there's 7 people now, and they know a lot about native plants. You don't need to do a lot of upkeep, but you have to keep an eye on things. They do clean it up late spring, and it's really beautiful. Butterfly weed is really beautiful right now. The orange.
Okay.
Lots of activity with bees. So it's a beautiful place.
So in addition to the vegetables and fruits and strawberries and whatever that people plant in those 108 little plots, how large is each of those plots square footage wise?
3 feet by 15 feet.
3 feet by 15 feet. So that 45, 50 square feet of place to grow your tomatoes and your okra and whatever else you might want to grow. And how many square feet is the farm where you grow food to give away?
Let's see, the farm is about 18 plots, approximately the same size.
So about 900 square feet.
Yeah, you're good at math that way.
900 square feet is the size of a pretty decent apartment, and you use that food to feed the community, and to teach children, I assume, about where food comes from and things like that. That's really wonderful.
I'd say, I looked at my numbers, and about to date, we've given away 5,000 pounds of food, approximately, since we started that in 2021. I think was when. 5,000
pounds in 5 or 6 years.
I was amazed the first time that I went to see one of the harvests, and we were harvesting it, and Julie was weighing every single crop, and I thought, that is so cool that you keep that data.
I think being a gardener is like keeping good data so that you can look back and go, well, what didn't work? What did work? Or was just I like crunching those numbers. And so, it's important to weigh. But, sometimes I just hand things out as people walk by. So not everything is weighed, but that's the joy of giving.
Yes, so you give away hundreds of pounds of vegetables every year that are just the bounty of the earth and the volunteer time people put in to take care of the plants.
Exactly.
What are your favorite vegetables that you give away?
I would say, the tomatoes that we grow there are pretty crazy. I don't know. I'm obsessed with kale because it's so easy to grow.
It is easy to grow.
And everybody seems to like it. And so I really love, because it just keeps giving all the way until frost, right?
Right.
And so that's probably one of my favorites.
So if you know how to harvest your kale so that it keeps on going, you don't chop the tops off of it, you take the leaves off the outside edge, right?
Yes. I wish you were there the other night.
Oh no, did someone hack the tops off of the kale?
You don't know if you don't know. So you have to that's part of the learning that I like to do. And a lot of new gardeners, when they work in the farm on a volunteer day, they go, oh, that's how you harvest that, or oh, that's how you grow that. And things that I might just take for granted. So it's true. You hold those 3 leaves and then you pull down on the sides, right?
Right.
Anyway.
What kinds of things are there that are being harvested on the farm or in the gardens right now?
Right now, a lot
early.
of greens.
Greens,
it's still
okay.
early. Pea pods.
Pea pods, okay.
What else are we doing? Oh, we just pulled out some. This is the kohlrabi.
Kohlrabi, the roots.
Do you know it's so hard for me to say that because the reason I am a gardener is my grandmother used to have a beautiful garden, and she would call it kohlrabi. Isn't that funny?
That is funny.
And so this is the first year that I ever planted it. It's kind of like to pay some respect to my grandmother, and we would just pull it out of the ground, peel it back, and eat it like that. And so many people tell me that they started gardening because of their grandmother or their grandparents. So it's like a story that starts like, oh, are you a gardener? Oh yeah, my grandmother. It's always that. So I said I have to do that this year, and so during my kids' gardening days, which was yesterday, one of the participants pulled one out for the first time, and I showed her how I would eat it as a child.
Right.
She was not particularly caring for it.
No.
But it was a really fun experience for me to remember that.
Right, and pass along these things that come from our ancestors and that we carry along in whatever way. All 4 of my grandparents were farmers.
Oh,
so
that's cool. Yeah.
So
it sticks with you when you're young.
It does, and it becomes how you tell time during the seasons. Are the tomatoes blooming yet?
Yeah.
When are the tomatoes going to be ready? No, really, when are the tomatoes going to be ready? I want my tomato sandwich.
No, it's so true. You're so in line with weather, nature.
Yeah.
You see the world differently when you're taking care of plants, just like you see the world differently when you're seeing them through the eyes of your kids, right? It's like what environment is going to be best for these living creatures I'm tending. Yeah,
that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah. So you said that Malden Grows is a grassroots, like zero funding, we just do it for fun kind of thing.
So
or do you have a funding source?
It was zero funding up until recently.
Okay.
Last year, we applied for a Community Connections grant through the City of Malden.
Okay.
And I think originally I asked for $5,000, but we got $3,500, which was, I mean, when you think about it, that's amazing.
For a zero budget organization to suddenly have several $1,000s.
Yes.
And that money comes out of the casino funds, is that correct?
Yes, I believe that's correct.
Okay.
So we had proposed in the grant proposal to do various educational events, some talking about invasive plant education, and then upkeep of the seed library, and then various things for kids programming.
Educational programming for children.
Yes, and then also getting some gardening tools so that we could use at the events.
Okay.
So it's been really helpful to have those funds, just because I feel like we've been able to do a lot more, and I've met a lot more different community organizations through that, which has been really great for me, just because I've learned a lot doing it too.
Right, and it Right, and it builds social connections between Maldonians who might have gone inside during the pandemic and forgotten to make friends, or people who've moved to town and don't really have human connections yet. And those connections are so important to having a strong community. If you see people at the garden, I imagine people are friends because they have neighboring garden plots and they're there on a Saturday morning, right?
Yeah, I probably met some of my best friends at the garden.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So what about the community garden's funding sources?
So, I'm a city employee.
Okay.
So thank you.
Okay.
And I'm paid 19 hours a week.
Okay.
So I definitely put in more most of the time in the high growing season, and I'm grateful for that, because when I first started, it was just 50 plots, and then it grew, and I volunteered for about 5 years managing the garden, and then they finally said, "Oh, maybe it would be nice to pay her."
Right.
And so
She's making the Malden a better place.
Right.
Let's toss some money her way. Sure.
And then so the fees that the gardeners pay, they pay for all of the infrastructure. If you say, we have to repair plots every season in March. Wood gets rotted, so I try to take really good care of those beds and make sure that they stay together and they're safe. And then repairs to the fence lines and all those things, all the things that you don't even think about as a gardener, they're there.
That's what you take care of.
I do. Yeah.
So the infrastructure for having a garden that works as a community space. Then.
Exactly, because gates break, hoses break, and things happen. And then the farm and all the events and the activities and things that we do are basically done with grant funding or a lot of donations.
Okay, so you apply for grants to fund the community education projects and things like that, and people donate as well to the community garden?
They do. I mean, we're always looking for donations, but honestly, the big expense of the farm was paid for through a pretty large grant we got back in 2018.
Wonderful.
From Blue Cross.
Okay.
They just kind of handed us $30,000, and I was shocked.
Nice.
And we put that to build it and to do some of our activities, and but that money is gone at this point. But we still are maintaining, because it's amazing what you can do on a shoestring.
It is.
Right? I mean,
I think gardeners are very generous too.
Yeah,
They're
very
always
generous.
willing to share. So,
So one of the things I'm learning from you is that Malden's community of gardeners is really one of the best ways to get involved with your neighbors and meet your neighbors, and
I think so.
And if you work at the farm or something like that, you can be part of helping to feed your neighbors.
Yeah.
So Blue Cross's investment in that, in the garden infrastructure really contributed to people having healthier food to eat, right?
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
We've also received grants from the Adelaide Baird
Breed Baird Foundation
over the years, some other smaller organizations, and yeah, it's just amazing though how many people are like, oh, I have this extra bag of soil, or I have this extra bag of mulch, or does the farm want this, or it's really amazing what people do. Like someone donated their grow lights, so now I grow all the tomatoes and the eggplants and the peppers in the grow lights at my house and bring them to the farm, and that's like a huge expense.
So you don't have to go to Home Depot and buy plant starts.
No.
You just grow them at home with your own electricity.
That's right. And I mean, I'm happy to do it because it's a learning experience for me. I know that the cost is minimal
For seeds.
for seeds,
Yeah.
and I've learned so much because I've worked on a farm before that is, I've been able to work with farmers, and one of the organizations that rents a plot at the community garden is called Cooperative for Human Services, and they have a greenhouse at their farm, which I actually volunteered during the pandemic, and then I got a job there. So the knowledge I received from them, and I knew them from the garden,
Right.
I was able to like put back into the garden.
That's
So
wonderful.
it's
That's
really,
wonderful.
really nice.
I want to come back around to something we talked about briefly, which is the idea that there are plants that are invasive. What does it mean for a plant to be invasive?
So it's a little bit of a controversial word
Okay.
sometimes, and I don't want to get too into
Yeah.
the weeds.
Yeah.
See, it's a pen about it. Yeah. But there are a lot of plants that were kind of imported to this area for decorative purposes often, and they don't naturally grow here. So I think kind of the overarching message is that they outcompete other native species that should be growing here.
Okay.
And sometimes when they do that, they crowd out other things that would be preferable
Okay.
to have here, or they don't support organisms like butterflies
Right.
that we want monarch butterflies, we want certain pollinators to be able to thrive here. And so when these plants grow out of check is when I think we run into problems. So an example would be knotweed. So knotweed is something that grows in a lot of disturbed areas. You'll see it, if you know how to identify it, you'll see it
It's
everywhere.
on the side of the bike path in a lot of
Yes,
places.
on the side of the bike path, it's on the side of the highways. And the problem with it is that it spreads underneath the ground and it has very strong roots.
Okay.
And it almost looks like a type of bamboo. The structure is very
Yes,
similar
yes.
to bamboo. Actually, in the UK, if you have knotweed on a property, it's very difficult for you to get homeowners insurance.
Oh, wow.
Because it can break through the foundation of a house and cause leaks.
Okay.
So, being forward thinking, we don't want that here because we're going to have the same problem.
Right.
So, I think Julie and I try to provide education and tell people how to mitigate it, how to try and get rid of it, but it's very difficult to get rid of without
It is
using
difficult to get
chemicals.
rid of. And when people cut it back, invasive plants are the kind you want to put in a trash bag, right?
Yes, exactly.
Rather than in your yard waste, because then the
and you don't
sprouts
wanna
will go out of the
compost
yard
it.
waste. Don't compost it. So knotweed is a common one. Black swallowwort.
Yes, black swallowwort is one that's a huge problem right now.
Okay. Has these funny little pods, right?
Yes. So it has these pods, and then the issue with swallowwort is that it's very twisty, so it'll twist around things, and it's difficult to then get it off, like a fence, for example.
Right.
It's actually not too hard to pull. If you can get all of the roots, then you can get the whole thing to stop growing. But once it has the pods and the pods break open, it'll float all over the place and disperse.
So the black swallowwort on my neighbor's fence can come into my yard and start trying to outcompete my tomatoes and the beautiful things that I grow.
Yeah, and then the really bad thing about swallowwort too is that monarch butterflies get tricked by it. So they'll come and they'll lay their eggs on the plant thinking that it's milkweed. But then when the little eggs hatch and make a caterpillar, the caterpillar can't eat the swallowwort. They can only eat milkweed.
I see.
And so then that interrupts the life cycle of the monarch butterfly.
And then we don't have monarch butterflies locally, and they don't do their beautiful long migrations.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
So what you're telling me is I should be growing milkweed in my yard if I need to grow native plants rather
Yes,
than
and specifically the native types of milkweed.
native types of milkweed. Okay, and get rid of the swallowwort if I want to have butterflies.
Yes.
What other kinds of things can I grow if I want to have butterflies in my yard?
So there's lots of different pollinators, not just butterflies.
Right.
So
But everyone loves the butterflies because they're beautiful.
yeah, I mean, you can grow cabbage and get cabbage butterflies.
Oh yes.
Those little white butterflies.
Yeah,
that
those are the ones everybody sees.
That-
Those are cabbage butterflies.
That eat my cabbages. Yes.
Yeah. You know what's interesting is like our native garden is every plant is tagged. So like if you weren't sure what to do, you could come down and look at our garden and look at some of the flowers that are tagged with their name, and it's like a nice education
Wonderful.
opportunity.
Okay.
Because even I like think about, oh, what would be good, you know, and they're all native species.
So you can get ideas about what you want to grow in your garden from
Exactly, and now they're starting to like bloom, so
Yep.
you can really see what they're going to look
Yeah,
like.
and it's always good to do a mixture.
Yeah.
I mean, for us to look at, it's pretty to have different colors and different shapes.
Yep.
But also, it's good to have things blooming at different times of the season because then that provides a continuous source of food for
Okay.
the birds, the bees, the butterflies.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. I had there was some other question I was going to ask you. It was about how people can get involved with the community garden,
Oh, well,
other than coming by on a Saturday morning and talking to the other gardeners.
you can do that. Then I might hand you a vegetable. No, you can always email me.
Okay.
And I could say it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so it's jmangan, MANGAN, at cityofmalden.org.
Okay.
We have a Facebook group, which is Malden Community Garden.
Okay, Malden Community Garden
Yeah.
on Facebook.
And then there's an Instagram page. I think that might be Bike Path Community Garden.
Interesting. Okay.
I have another volunteer who takes care of the Instagram page.
Okay, okay.
It's not my thing,
Sure.
but I know it's important, but there is information there as well. But I
Okay.
think if you really want to get involved, emailing me is great because I can put you on our email list.
You have an email list.
I do have
Okay.
an email list. I can put you in touch with a link to sign up if you want to volunteer.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to rent a plot, I can get you on our waiting list, which it takes about 2 years.
Okay.
But it goes pretty quick because people move in and out of
Right,
Malden.
right.
So that's the best way. And then if like you were interested in native plants, I could get you involved with that group of gardeners.
All
you
right,
know,
all right.
a lot of
And
ways.
or if people are interested in trees, you could get them in touch with Chris Rosa,
I could,
who's the
yep.
tree warden.
Or if you want to join Jen's, invasive species,
Patrol.
Yeah.
There's so many opportunities.
I've seen you like sponsor Let's Go Walk Around and Pull Invasives. Is that?
Yeah, so I mean, it sounds a little bit rogue that way, but no, we'll have events, and it'll depend on what is being the most invasive at any given time of
Right,
year.
right.
I encourage people to learn about them and do their own little patch around them because I think that's the best way. Because obviously, if you're just out walking or commuting or you have a dog, you'll see things and know how to identify them. And
Right.
maybe you'll bring a trash bag with you everywhere you go and put it in.
Right.
But I think it's just really important to get the word out there because people don't know what they don't know. So
Exactly.
with the Tree Steward program, which I think both of us are
we're doing
members
that
of that, we're trying to collaborate with Chris Rosa, who's the tree warden, but also Karen Buck with the Friends of the Malden River. There's a new program coming out that she got a grant for called Neat Streets.
Okay.
And so that's going to be a combined sort of trash cleanup for different areas. But she also wants me, and maybe you if you want to join,
Sure.
To do some education at those events. So, some people will pick up trash, but some people will learn what an invasive plant looks like, how to best deal with it. I'll bring my tools because with the grant, I got some really exciting root
exciting
root
tools,
slayers
Oh,
that we
okay.
can use to dig out the roots
Okay.
for some of the harder to get
All right.
plants.
Well, it's been lovely to hear from both of you about what Malden Grows and the Malden Community Garden are doing. I'm really so happy that you expose Malden people to the pleasure of green growing things. So it's wonderful, and since we're an environmental justice community, it's so important to have people feel like the natural world is someplace that they can spend time and have a relationship with, and I really appreciate both of your work. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Do you have any last words before we go out? Anything you'd like to let people know in Malden?
Keep learning.
Yeah.
Keep growing.
Keep learning, keep growing.
Be curious.
Be curious.
Yeah.
Reach out to both of these wonderful women to find out more about how you can get involved in gardening and environmental projects in Malden. Thank you again, Jen and Julie, so much.
Thank you.
It was lovely to speak to you. This has been Malden Community Connections from the Malden Community Coalition. I'm Shane Landrum, your host. Thank you again, and have a good day.